that's full of labels. We have labels all around us. We call them logos. We have several different names for them. Perhaps we can think of labels as signs. Road signs, traffic signs, shop signs, restaurant signs. But we have labels in politics, we have labels in schools, we have labels in religion. And I suppose the religious labels are the most provocative. Things like unbeliever, believer, atheist, agnostic, irreligious, liberal, conservative, orthodox. Now, labels have a function. They help to identify things. They help us to know what to expect. But all labels have a dark side to them, particularly the religious labels. Because you see, when you say somebody is an unbeliever or irreligious or an agnostic, this is not necessarily a compliment. It's a way of saying that that person does not have a faith foundation. And religious people love to use these labels, whether you use the label infidel or unbeliever or lost or saved. These are labels that we use to judge one another, despite the fact that Jesus says, do not judge one another because you will be judged in the same way and the same manner. The question for us, though, is, what about Jesus? Did he use labels? Well, I think if we are honest, we would have to say yes. He called the Pharisees hypocrites. That was a label. It was not a compliment either. It was a way of telling them that their belief system and their actions were not in harmony. But the labels that Jesus used that I think are the most insightful are found in Matthew chapter 25. In his great apocalyptic sermon, Jesus said that when the time of reckoning comes, when all of humanity will stand before God and give account of their lives, there will be only two labels, sheep and goats. It's intriguing that both are animals in the sacrificial system, yet Jesus uses them in a different way. He says the sheep are the ones who will be rewarded by God and will enter the kingdom. The goats are the ones who will be rejected by God. The big question is, what's the difference in the two labels? When you read the way Jesus explains, both groups are given an opportunity to account for their lives. And the questions and the issues that are raised before them are exactly the same. How did they behave towards those who were hungry or thirsty, who were in bondage, in prison, who were sick, who were ill? In other words, how did they behave towards their fellow human beings? Were they humane? Were they merciful? Were they compassionate? Or did they find reasons and excuses not to do any of those things? And Jesus says that the sheep inherit the kingdom because in helping other humans, they were actually serving God. While the goats, who did not help other humans, thought they would serve God if they saw God himself. But they did not see God in the plight of humanity. And here is the clincher. What Jesus is saying is this, that in the time of reckoning, using the two labels, sheep and goats, we are measured not by how religious we have been, but how human we have been. It is not our religiosity that matters to God, but our humanity. So when they quiz Jesus about the most important commandments, he says this, love God with all your heart and soul and strength, love your neighbor as yourself. There are only two things that count in being a child of God, in being a citizen of his kingdom. Our loyalty to God, our humanity towards one another. Now we can use labels, and we can separate ourselves by those labels. We can push other people away by those labels. However, if we seek entry into the kingdom of God, we must remember the labels of Jesus. Our humanity determines our destiny, not our religiosity. Have a good day. God bless.